Hey, phony homies, it's week 15, and boy, do we have a huge show for you guys today. We discussed this past week's injuries, who to add, who to drop, why you're going to add some of these guys, and help you in the first week of the fantasy playoffs. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, welcome to another fantastic episode, playoff edition of the Fake Football Guys Show. I'm your host, Giancarlo Campos, and alongside me is the one and only, the best co-host of all time, Dustin DL Lingaman. What up, DL?
What up, my guy?
Not much, man. Not much. I love that hat.
Thank
Love that
you.
hat.
It's like the
Yeah,
Bears color, and it's a
yeah.
great brewery. Check them out. They got a
Great
couple
brewery.
locations.
Yeah,
Have you been in the one in Oakbrook? We're talking about
yeah,
Alter for those of you who are
yeah,
listening in.
yeah. When my best
Um,
friend got married, he had his rehearsal dinner there. So yeah.
oh, nice, bro. Very nice. Yeah, they got food there, and their food's awesome. So
Well, hey,
definitely support.
I want to get right to business. It is a
Oh
huge,
shit. Okay.
huge show today, DL.
Yes,
It's
it is.
fantasy playoffs. This is what people have been waiting for, what the phony homies have been talking to us all year about. It's time to give them the advice they need to win these games. DL, let's pay some bills. Let's remind the funny homies at home where they can follow us. If they choose to follow us on Twitter, DL, where can they do that?
At tweet FFG.
Awesome. And if people want to go ahead and ask questions live on air or during the week or just before kickoff, DL, what is the hashtag they can use?
Ask us FFG.
See, pretty simple, pretty easy. DL, if people don't have X or Twitter, whatever people want to call it these days, if they don't have it and they choose to send over an email, which is how I communicate with everybody at work, how can they do that, DL? What's that email?
Ask us FFG at gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome. And finally, DL, if people want to send us a wayward text, a sext, send some fantasy questions over, need health advice,
Oh, I'm
whatever they may have,
telling.
what is the phone number for the people?
Area code 708-655-4508. All
Awesome,
data
awesome.
charges may apply. If I, you
That
know what? I've never gotten a data charge. Have you ever got a data charge?
Yeah, you remember when you used to get a certain amount of like text messages
Text,
way
yeah,
back in the day? I think I was like in middle school, maybe high school, something like that. Maybe like 03, 02, whatever it was. And you could only send like 100 texts on your data plan.
yeah.
Yes, I would send way too many texts. Yeah, and I would
But
get
I mean, like,
alerts
why do they still say that? I don't get it. It's like, oh, that's like,
because
yeah.
some people don't have text messaging in their
Oh, they
phone
don't
plans.
have ultimate. Okay,
Believe
unlimited
it or
text.
not. Yeah,
That's
believe
crazy.
it or not. All right,
That
DL.
sucks. All right,
Remember, like, share, subscribe, and
smash.
that notification button. That way you know when we go live. We are on
Mhm.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere that you listen to your podcast or watch your podcast. It's been awesome listening to it on my drives on Spotify. I've been loving it honestly. And then sometimes my girlfriend gets in the car, or the little guy gets in the car, and I just cue it up, and I'm driving playing, and they can't believe that
You're like, oh
new
my
show.
gosh, it's
It's
DL.
on
We love
Spotify.
him.
But
He's
they
so
actually do love you.
funny.
They actually do.
He's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. Now
Cool.
me on the other
Got some
hand,
fans.
yeah, not so much. Anyway, DL, jam packed show. Let's get it going. DL, who is your stud and your dud this
Okay.
past week?
So I do got a story time, right? So the last 2 weeks, I have not been doing well. In fact, this week I didn't win a single game in any of my
Mm,
actual leagues. Like I was over four. But guess what? I made all the playoffs, which I'm by the fantasy football gods. In fact, in my home league, I'm actually I'm on bye this week, which is like it's weird.
really?
It's like it's cool, but it's also like oh no, but like what if like my guys go off and anyways. So you asked me my studs this week, Jamar motherfucking Chase.
You son
All
of a
right,
bitch. You took mine. He took mine.
sorry, bro.
It's
I thought
okay.
that was a Burrow. I thought it was a Burrow
No,
thing.
no, it's a Chase. I've had Chase in my dynasty league since he was a rookie.
Oh
But I
shit,
also have
man.
him in your league, so that's all good. Go for it.
My bad. Anyways, so you already know this, but 177 yards receiving, 14 rushing, and two touchdowns. Dude went off, and it was awesome. Didn't help me win, but I was like, hey, something, a little silver lining. Another guy I would like to mention is George Kittle. That was rough because I was watching the Bears game, and when he got the ball, I'm
Ugh.
like, yes. I'm like, yes, this is, oh, fuck, no, this sucks. So 6 receptions for 151 yards. Like, I get it as a new defensive coordinator, but like, it's like, yo, you see this guy? He's like just tearing us to shreds right now. Cover him. Get a couple guys on him. Last but not least, he didn't have the best game, but he did put up some numbers, and that have been Jalen Hurts at 108 yards, 2 touchdowns, 59 yards rushing, and 1 rushing TD. So those are my studs. You want me to do duds too, or are we going back and forth?
Oh, please.
Okay, my duds would be on the same team, AJ Brown. Um,
Ugh.
it was just, I don't know, it was a weird game. They didn't play well. They played against Carolina. I honestly thought like we were gonna like it was gonna be one of those games where my stack was gonna pay off. I was like, yes, I got Hurts, I got AJ Brown. We're going against Carolina. We got this. It was a rough game. But yeah, Jalen or AJ Brown, man, just couldn't get it done. That was the biggest, like to me, the biggest dud of just like expecting a lot and it just not working out.
Hmm. I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, let me give you my stud. I only have him in one league. It is Josh Allen.
Dude.
Now, I didn't get a chance to watch the game.
Mm.
I was at, my little guy's play, so I was busy all weekend,
Oh, what play?
unfortunately. He was actually Santa Claus in an elf, like Buddy the elf. Like, it was pretty cool.
Dude,
It was awesome. He
I've
killed it.
actually seen that play
Hmm.
what the kids put on, so that's pretty awesome. Anyways,
It
go
was
ahead.
awesome. Yeah, he
Did he
really
get
likes
beat
bears.
up?
So awesome.
Was he like
Well, no. They
he
kept
was
that
the
Santa.
actual
Yeah.
Santa?
Yes, he was the actual Santa, the
It
real
wasn't
Santa.
the
There was a fake
fake.
Santa. Yes, there was a fake Santa, which
Smells
was the one black kid in the entire freaking cast.
bro.
So yeah, bro, I was. We're not gonna say nothing about it, but we just said it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I got to see Josh Allen put up an insane amount of points. Okay, the guy finished with 57 total fantasy points by the end of the game. He had 342 passing yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. He had 82 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns, 6 total fantasy touchdowns. That's enough to almost guarantee you a W. You know,
Yeah.
and I unfortunately lost my matchup, but that's not here nor there. My dud is the reason why I think I lost my matchup by 3 points. Dalton Knox, the starting tight
Bro.
end. Now, I'm sorry, Dawson Knox. Unfortunately, Dalton Kincaid was hurt, so Dawson Knox got the start, and I got a little bit of ticker tease when I saw all these points on my phone during the intermission of the play. I was like, "Oh yes, Knox got to be killing. I'm gonna win my matchup." And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. The man finished with 1 reception for a total of
Ooh.
5 yards on, believe
Ooh.
it or not, only one target.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's rough. That's almost as rough as mine. I went up against let's see, Josh Allen in one of my leagues. And then in my home league, I went up against Sam Darnold.
Darnold. Oh, he went bananas, and I had him in a few leagues, and we recommended him. So,
Five touchdowns. I was going against the Wombat, and
oh,
that was like the only guy he had. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I was like, I had 75% chance of winning, like just starting off out the gate. I was like, all right, cool. I was doing great, and then that fucker, he was just like a touchdown machine, dude. He's playing out of
yep.
his fucking mind, dude. And
Mm-hmm.
I get it because he's probably not going to be there next year. So he is putting on a show for other teams. And that's something we got to get into, I think, maybe next week of like what
Mm-hmm.
teams and who's playing, what incentives. And that
Yeah,
can actually affect your
it would
lineup
be
as well, too.
huge. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because if
Let me
they're
ask
not
you.
playing for the playoffs or if they're not playing for like a bonus or if they're not playing
Mm-hmm.
for a contract,
Mm-hmm.
that's why like Jamar Chase, I was a little bit nervous about that one because I was like,
They needed
oh
that win, bro.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they would have lost, they're done, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How much effort, and you need
Mm-hmm.
them to have that hope to get into the playoffs because they're
Yep.
going to play out of their mind, and it's going to help
Yep.
you guys win your league if you have those guys or
Look for
lose.
players who are close to breaking 1,000 yards. Look for players who are
Yep.
close to breaking 10 touchdowns. A lot of these players, it's not really spoken of, but they have contract incentives. And if they
Yeah.
break a certain amount, and it's usually an even number, a round number, like 1,000 or 10 or what have you, 100 receptions. Look for players who are close to getting these milestones because you better believe they're playing for this money. They're playing for
Oh, they're
money
going to go out
out
there
here.
and win. They're going to go
Real
out
quick,
and win.
real quick deal. Before we get into it, I do have a question for you because I am in a bit of a dilemma in my home league, which I snuck in by 21 total points. I won my matchup, and the guy in fifth place won his matchup, but I knocked him out because
Cool.
I outscored him. I outscored him. Uh, Even though we didn't play each other, I had more total points. So going into my fantasy playoffs, I have a three-headed monster of quarterbacks because I picked up Sam Darnold a week ago. So
Ooh.
I could start Sam Darnold in Chicago. And
Okay.
Chicago looked bad. They looked like they quit on
Dude.
coach, bro. And look
They
at the
didn't
coach
quit on
again.
the
What the
coach.
fuck? Look like he
Okay.
didn't know what the fuck he was doing
All
either.
right. Yeah, they don't know because he literally went from like wide receivers coach to OC to head coach. And
Yep.
then he put in a new defensive coordinator who like literally had him running the wrong. I mean, the broadcasters are like, we don't know why he keeps doing this scheme because it's not
You mean a different
working.
offensive coordinator? Yeah, yeah. OC.
Defensive coordinator.
Yeah. A defensive guy.
Yeah.
Well, Eric
Yeah.
Washington didn't get demoted though. Eric Washington was still on the team. I don't know if he moved from
Yeah,
defense.
but Flus was calling all the plays.
He was calling the plays. I'll give you that. But Eric Washington is an experienced guy who has had interim experience as an interim head coach in the past.
Didn't look
When
like it on
another coach
Sunday. Looked like he was fucking getting like
torched. Yeah,
finessed
yeah.
hard. And not
So,
only that,
mhm.
what was I gonna say? It doesn't matter. Okay.
So Darnold against Chicago. Okay.
Okay.
In oh shit. In Minnesota. Think about it. Kyler Murray against New England in Arizona.
Okay.
Okay. Or Bo Nix against Indianapolis in Denver.
Bo Nix against who? I'm sorry.
Against the Colts. They play in Denver.
Ooh, that is
Kyler
tough, bro.
Murray against New England. They play in Arizona. Or the hot
Kyler's
Sam
been
Darnold
sucking,
against
but
Chicago.
he is good at home. I think Caleb Williams is going to bounce back. I really like him this week, and I'm
I
not.
don't have
That's just.
Caleb. Yeah, I don't
I
have
know,
Caleb.
but I'm just
Oh,
saying. Well,
like a high scoring affair, you're saying? Like,
yeah.
there's potential for it?
I don't want to say shootout. I think that's a little rough.
Anthony Richardson's
Damn,
playing well. So there's a chance that, like, there's a shootout in Indianapolis with Bo Nix against the Colts. But there's also a chance that they blow the doors off of the Colts, and then Bo Nix doesn't do much. There's a chance that Kyler Murray doesn't do anything
Yeah,
because he's just
Kyler
been
Murray.
mediocre.
Okay, so let's break it down. Kyler Murray is a little iffy on me because like the matchups where you think he's gonna go off, he
He
sucks, right?
doesn't. Yes, correct.
Or the vice versa, or like it's just subpar. It's just kind of like what is going? I don't understand it because that was the whole reason why I drafted him. I was so high, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna put him like, with Marvin Harrison Jr. There's another guy, right?
Yeah.
So you're playing this week, so it's one or done. So this is wow, this is a hard one.
Kyler Murray the last 3 weeks.
I'm a
9
little,
points,
I'm kind of
14 points, 17 points. 9, 14, and 17 points, respectively, the last 3 weeks. I don't know what to do with
insane.
that. I can't
But
win if he scores 10 points. I
in
just can't survive.
fantasy, you gotta be water, right? You can't let
Yeah.
those past games because you never know. Like he's going up against who's he playing against? I'm sorry.
New England.
I'm
21st
leaning
ranked defense.
I'm leaning towards him just slightly
Okay.
over Darnold.
Okay.
Slightly though, bro.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, Bo
slightly
Nix.
leaning towards Darnold.
Because Bo Nix, like honestly, like I think he'll do well, but at the same time, like I don't know what it is, but I've been noticing teams coming off a bye, they're like rusty, which is weird because it's like you had a whole week to like get better and get moving. I don't know. So that's why I'm a little bit cautious, but who knows? Like Bo Nix was balling out. I don't
He's
know, man.
been balling out, bro. I think the safe play here is Bo Nix, but I think the highest upside here, unfortunately, is still Sam Darnold. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well, hold
We'll
on.
see what
I want to check out some rankings. Go ahead, keep moving.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna work on this a little bit.
All right, cool. DL, do you have anything before we get to the news?
Really, it is the news, right? Because there wasn't that much like going on, to be honest. Like it was kind of slow, I would say. Like I was looking up stuff, then nothing really popped out. I was like, whoa. But it's really about like the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Because like their game, that was a horrible game. Jalen Hurts looked like crap. We already talked about AJ Brown. So after the game, the reporters were saying that Brown appeared like frustrated. Um, and when he was asked, he was like, uh, identifying the pass as the area of the offense that needs to improve, and saying isn't much conversation between he and Hurts to uh, recidify things in game. So it's like they're not talking in the game. Like, hey man, I'm fucking open. And if you watch that game, there was like
Yeah.
so many times where he was wide fucking open and Hertz just didn't throw it to him, right?
Hmm.
So to me, like,
Hmm.
there's a couple things that are going on. Number one, I think because of Saquon, the
Yeah.
run game is really taking over, right?
Yeah.
So it's either Hertz or Saquon, and like they don't really need a pass. And when they do have to pass, he's not looking for AJ. So it
And they
got a
and
look,
they want to have him break like the record, the rushing record is what they want.
yeah.
So
It's like,
you
dude,
know,
come on, bro. Which yeah, there you go. If you got him,
just
but
saying.
the tea gets deeper. Okay, a little. You
Ooh.
fill your cup
Ooh.
a little bit more because defensive end
Oh.
Brandon Graham accidentally escalated things on Monday by telling Sports Radio 94 WIP that the two were friends, but quote things have changed end quote. Before later that night clarifying to ESPN Tim McManus that he assumed incorrectly about their friendship and made a mistake, also saying he had to apologize to both and didn't intend to be the devise, right? Head coach Nick Sirianni, also speaking to 94 WIP on Tuesday, added, all I can judge, quote, all I can judge things on is what I see on a daily basis, Sirianni said. When I see AJ and Jalen communicate about the game plan, eating lunch together every single day, praying with each other before the game, there's going to be speculation, and I get it. Rightfully so, based on what has happened in the last couple of days. But all you can do is judge what you see. You know
Oh
what I
my
see?
God.
I see that AJ Brown is fucking open and not getting the ball, right? So it's I think it was a slow week because like literally like I looked up the NFL news and like it was
Mhm.
like Eagles, 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 and then like
Mhm.
that was about it. So and some injuries, but I'm not gonna get into that because
Yeah.
that's our next segment. So
Hey, I
uh,
gotcha. I gotcha. Before you queue up the injuries, I do want to remind the folks out there, and it does sound like there's a lot of drama there. So I can't wait to see what happens for Philly because fuck Philadelphia as a city. Never liked them. But what I will
whoa,
say is,
I thought
yeah,
you were
they're
a
like
Philly
horrible
fan.
fans. No, no, no,
They
no,
are.
no,
Oh
never.
yeah, they're horrible
Terrible
fans
fans.
by far.
Yeah,
The
yeah. Never
worst.
been a Philly fan. No, I'm not a Sixers fan. I'm not. I just like Allen Iverson. That's it. And the fuck everything
Fair.
else about them. Uh, I do want to remind the people at home, there are no bye weeks any longer. It is strictly games, full
Do
slates
or
of
die.
games.
Mm-hmm.
The next few weeks. So let's get ready for what's about to go down the rest of the
Okay,
season.
real quick, because you said, are we? I guess we can get into that when we get to waivers. Never mind.
Sure,
Never mind.
sure, sure, sure.
Sorry.
Cool. In that case, DL. Without further ado, let's talk about injuries. All right, phony homies. The doctor is in the house. I hear him shuffling around on my headset here. So he will be with you guys in just a moment. There were a good number of injuries, some sad ones, unfortunately, that the doctor will report on. And, I'll go ahead and throw it to him. Doc? Hey, Doc, how are you?
Testing. Testing.
Doc, I see you were actually coming from work. I think you helicoptered in because you even have your stethoscope right on your shoulder here. So
Yes, it's
I do
been.
see.
I was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's
All
been
right, Doc.
crazy.
I'll take it from here. There is one sad one to report. I think it's the first injury you have on your docket, but do your thing.
Wow. Thanks, loser. Can't hear
Bastard.
me. It's great. Okay. Yeah. Sad note. Really super sad. We're gonna start things off with the Carolina Panthers. Their running back Jonathan Brooks, which they actually drafted this year, actually is on the injury reserve again because he tore his ACL again in the same knee. So it was if you were watching the game, it was like non-contact. All of a sudden he's running, and then kind of similar to McCaffrey, where he just kind of stopped, dropped to the ground. It was really sad because he did try to get off field. He just couldn't do it. So at this point, it's kind of hard to say like what the Panthers are going to do. They're really heavy on their running backs. Like they love running backs. So this definitely sets them back. I am kind of curious, and I would speculate that something happened during when he was rehabbing it that they weren't talking about. Maybe that's why they signed a huge extension to Chuba Hubbard. But I'll let you dive into that one. We're going to head over to the Los Angeles Charger, Will Disley. He's a tight end there. Disley is expected to miss a couple of weeks due to a shoulder injury he suffered Sunday against Kansas City. But he's not likely to be placed on IR. So that's cool. But it sucks to hear the shoulder. Just can't really come back from that. Next, we're going to head over to the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr. This one sucked. This one is a rough one because I think it affects the whole team. But so Derek Carr, Saints interim coach Darren Rizzle, as I like to call him, said Monday that Carr's hand is considered week to week due that he fractured it and is not expected to be placed on the IR. Now, keep in mind, it's not his throwing hand. It's his non-throwing hand. However, still got to catch the ball when it's hiked to him. So if he's got a cast on it, it's kind of hard to catch it. But there's even other news that is being talked about as well too. That it's also like he's in concussion protocol as well too. So that hit, not only if you saw it when he landed, he put his hand down, his helmet smashed into his hand, which that's how he got the fracture. But it was so hard he got a concussion out of it. So that totally blows. Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens, wide receiver. Steelers, he didn't play last week because of a hammy. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin confirmed Tuesday that Pickens' hamstring is unlikely to be available for this Sunday's game, too. So if you're in the playoffs, woo-wee, good luck to you. You may want to pay attention to those waivers that are coming up next. See what I did there? Next, we're going to head over to the San Francisco 49ers. If you won the lottery and got Isaiah Guerrero, the running back, you probably had a pretty good week. Probably a decent week. Probably was one of your studs. However, he hurt his foot. He kind of sprained his foot. After the game, he did say like he feels fine. It was more precautionary, but we'll see. So Guerrero won't practice in Tuesday's walkthrough. So he didn't practice through the walkthrough, which that's all right. Main thing to kind of keep in mind in here is look at Wednesday and Thursday, and obviously finally Friday's injury report. As long as he gets a little bit of participation, I think he's going to be okay. This one's a little scary. In Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker III. Now, he missed last game. He did not play at all. And if you had the backup, you were doing well. Charbonnet. But we're talking about Kenneth Walker III. Coach Mike McDonald said Monday that the Seahawks are getting tests done on Walker's calf injury and may know more about his status in the next few days. This is concerning. Why? Because he didn't play. Like they already knew he had an injury. Probably already had the test, and everything was like, okay, you gotta sit some out, brother. Grab some pine, put your feet up, relax. We got this. The fact that they're getting new tests right now through this week has me very, very concerned. I don't think he goes this week. So Charbonnet is gonna cook. I mean, he's gonna be a strong add if you don't have him because he crushed everyone last week. I would grab him. I definitely would. Only thing, if you do have Charbonnet, once Kenneth Walker comes back, it's going to be Splitsville, USA. So get it while you can, especially in these playoffs. We're going to talk about Bucky Irving, who only played one quarter. He actually left the game in the early of the second quarter. But the Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles said Monday that Irving back had his back. I got that one. Was tightening on 28 to 30 win against the Raiders. So yeah, I think he's going to be okay. I would watch the actual participation throughout training or wow, I cannot think. Practice this week, not training camp, because we're almost done with the season. But you should pay attention to that. It might be precautionary as well too. I mean, they were just Rashad White was crushing it. Doesn't seem like there's any hurry to get him back, but hopefully they do because he does add quite a bit to that offense. So back to you, JC.
Back to me. All right, phony homies. Thanks to the doc as always. His season's almost wrapping up. It's time to get to the reason why you're here. It's time to get to waivers. All right, well, let's keep it real. You're here because of our pretty faces, but honestly, the waivers are what's probably bugging you. Before DL gets back, I do want to remind the phony homies at home. We're going to start off with quarterbacks. I want to remind you guys who is out. We have a few little extra tidbits and nuggets for you on this episode because it is the first week of the playoffs, and the remainder of the playoffs will have this included. So, as a reminder, some of the players that are out this week and maybe even for an extended period of time or the remainder of the season. Justin Herbert is out with a leg issue. Derek Carr is out with the hand, as was discussed a moment ago. Trevor Lawrence is out with a concussion. Will Levis is out with the shoulder. Aiden O'Connell, unfortunately, is out with a knee injury. And Tommy DeVito is out with a forearm injury. So remember these quarterbacks. Remember the players that are hurt because it will affect the receivers on their teams, the running backs on their teams, the tight ends, which ultimately will affect who you start, who you bench, what you're doing this week. Some of the drop candidates we're going to go ahead and start off with. There, I'm going to remind you of, or I'll just at least let you know what we believe. The first guy I'm dropping, if you have him on your team, is Geno Smith. He's rostered in 51% of leagues. Even though the Seahawks have won 4 straight games, Geno has been mid. Let's be honest. He has not been good. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game in the last 4 games, and that's just not something that I want. I can't have 15 or less points going into must-win games. So for that reason, Geno Smith, get out of here. The next guy I'm going to go ahead and recommend for you to drop is Kirk Cousins. He's 54% rostered in fantasy leagues. Now, even though Kirk has a favorable schedule coming up, he plays against the Raiders and the Giants the next 2 weeks. It still feels like he's getting worse as the season progresses. And he's an older quarterback, so the decline might be hitting. I'm not sure, but to give you a little bit of sample size, he's averaging less than 10 fantasy points per game over the last 4 games. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't have that. I can't start a quarterback that's averaging less than 10 points per game. So for that reason, get out of here. And with that, I'll kick it over to DL to give you our first recommendation of someone to add this week and start. DL?
Okay, with an actual little bit of Titan underpants, I would recommend him. It would be Anthony Richardson. He's very boomer bust, but hey, you're in the playoffs. It's time to get that boom. It's time to go for it. He's only rostered at 44% with a low floor in a matchup against the Broncos defense that has been tough on fantasy quarterbacks. Starting Richardson is in one QB's league would be a major roll of the dice in week 15. So in 2 QB leagues, though, it might be worth the risk, right? Because he does like to throw the ball. It's either when you catch it, you're like, yes, but when they miss, you're like, why did you do that? But let's not forget that Denver allowed Jameis Winston to throw nearly 500 yards prior to its Week 14 bye. Richardson can be maddening to fantasy managers, giving his ups and downs, but I can't ignore the upside. What do you got, JC?
I have to agree with you. I don't particularly want to start Anthony Richardson, especially with how his season has been, but give me Anthony Richardson over Kirk Cousins. So just to name
Absolutely.
to throw out there. Next guy I'm going to go ahead and recommend, unfortunately, and I gave this to myself so that you wouldn't have to recommend him,
Thank
Aaron
you.
Rodgers. Yeah. Now
Fucking
he's rostered in a shade under 30% of leagues. Just when it looked like he was ready to turn the page on him, like everyone was ready to turn the page on him, like he was washed. Rodgers racked up a season high 339 passing yards against the Dolphins. I still wouldn't, be super confident in him, but he does have a matchup in Week 15 against the Jaguars, who are without their starting quarterback Trevor Lawrence, and have one of the friendliest defenses to fantasy QBs. The 41-year-old quarterback has averaged 16 fantasy points per game in his last three contests with a touchdown to interception ratio of 5 to 1 in that span. However, because of his matchup coming up, we do feel good about Aaron Rodgers. Hey,
Sure.
look, he's out to prove that he should play again next year.
Dude,
So, you
he
know,
no, you know what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. He's gonna do that whole bullshit that he does every fucking year. "Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna play again. I don't know. And he's come out and said that like, okay, sure, I'm gonna go ahead and play for the Jets if I'm still going.
hmm
Real quick, we do have a question from Hillside: Purdy or Golf?
Purdy or Goff.
Pretty nice.
Let's look at what the matchups are. The 49ers this week play against the Rams on Thursday, and Thursday
Ooh.
haven't been that bad this year. There've been
Mm-mm.
games this year. It hasn't been a slop fest like years past. So remember, Purdy against the Niners, who don't have the best defense, and then the Goff matchup is the Bills. Give me Purdy.
Give me Purdy all day.
Yeah.
Just because, like, no offense.
hmm
Okay, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
sorry, I got a message from somebody else. So yeah, going against the Rams, like we saw last week what happened, right? We had Allen versus uh, wow, Matthew Stafford. So, and that was like shootout basically because New or Puka Nakua, which I didn't admit,
Oh
man,
man,
I
huge
should have
game.
looked at. I didn't look at the family league because he went off.
hmm
Cooper Cup went off. So I anticipate in Purdy, like I think they really got butthurt when
Yeah.
everybody was like the snow game. They're just like,
hmm
oh, they suck. They're out of it. Blah 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 blah. I think that like really kind of put a chip in the shoulder. Granted, they just beat the crap out of the Bears, so I wouldn't take that like, oh my gosh, they're back.
hmm
But I think Purdy is out there. I think he's trying to like once again play for something, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get
Yeah.
that extension, try to be the franchise quarterback because everyone
Yep.
under the sun is basically saying he's mid. So
I'm
yeah,
one of those
Purdy.
guys. I still don't think he's that good.
I
Sorry.
agree. I
Yeah.
mean he can. I think Kyle Shanahan has a great system, and you're seeing it. You're seeing
Yeah.
like I mean,
Yeah.
running back, some guy goes in there has a
hmm
beautiful game. You got
hmm
Jawan Jennings, who
hmm
I didn't start because I was like, oh, the Bears, like we man, their
Yeah. He had a
backfield,
good game. Yeah.
2 touchdowns. I was like, just like I had the worst Sunday ever. The worst Sunday ever. My fantasy team sucked. I'm like, all right, I'll watch the Bears. I know they're gonna lose, but like, let's see what happens.
yeah.
Just destroyed. Anywho,
I don't know why we do it to ourselves, but we come back for
and I'm
more
gonna
pain
do it
every
again.
week. Yeah.
Probably
So
gonna
am
do it
I.
again
So am
this
I.
week. Anyways,
Oh my.
some of you guys care about the Bears, but not everyone. So we're gonna go ahead and get back to the QB waiver number 3. Jameis Winston is rostered at 11%. Winston actually did come back to earth this past week against the Steelers with only a 15.28 point performance, which wasn't great because his last week he actually put up 32.98 points. So it's a pattern he's established since taking over the Browns. QB1 holds. That means in week 15 will be another spike week for him. With the Chiefs and the Bengals next on the schedule, he should have ample opportunity to sling the ball around the yard, as Cleveland is likely to be chasing points. If you're willing to live dangerously, Winston could be the QB for you. Actually, Winston can win you your
Yeah. The league.
playoffs.
That's
Honestly,
really possible.
like if you're like me that kind of backed into the playoffs and you're like, my team's trash and I'm trying to make it, now's the time to pull the trigger. Now's the time where next week doesn't matter. It's win or go home. So you
That's
don't
it.
you can't adjust. You have to
It's
like just
now
go with
or
it.
never. Golly.
Forget the names. Forget the names. You got to be, and this is what I was talking about. You got to be water in fantasy, right?
I
You
love it.
can't, you can't just like, you got to look at past week's production. You got to look at the matchup and really ask yourself. And it's okay to bench like a Kyler Murray, who has not been doing so hot
Preach,
recently,
preach.
right? Or a CD Lamb, who did okay. He finally got a touchdown. You're
It
like,
was
okay,
solid.
great.
He was getting targeted like a motherfucker. He
But
was, but, you know.
look at the matchups coming up, right? Who does Dallas play this week? We should actually have those
I'll tell you in
schedules
2 seconds
up,
because
huh?
I
Okay,
have
cool.
CeeDee Lamb and I have it up. So CeeDee Lamb did have almost 100 yards this past game. This upcoming week they play against the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh.
I think I'm starting CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I'm gonna start seeing Lamb too. But just
That
this
shoulder
week
though,
though,
every time he gets tackled, I'm freaking out. I'm just like, oh no, oh no, don't fall on the
and
shoulder.
that's another thing.
AC
It's
joint.
ride or die.
Yeah,
It's like look at the matchups. That's my main thing that I'm saying is like
yeah, yeah.
forget the name, look at the matchup, look what they're playing for.
And don't be afraid to swing for the fences. Honestly, don't
Yeah,
be afraid.
because it's better this like a Adam Thielen. I'm so glad I grabbed him last week because dude, I think he's like my flex spot for the rest of the
Yeah,
season because he's got an
10 points,
awesome
baby. Let's go, Adam Thielen.
yeah
Go.
every week, every week. All right, let's talk about running backs, JC. What do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. Can you remind the people at home the injuries, and I'll let you know who to drop.
Absolutely. So injuries to running backs. We got Kenneth Walker's dealing with a calf. We got Brees Hall with a knee. Which, by the way, story time, real quick. So I was at the YMCA working out, right? And I was on the bike. It's like one of those
Oh
sit
yeah,
down bikes. So I'm just like,
yeah.
all right, fuck it. I'm gonna look at my fantasy.
Stationary bike. Yeah.
I had an opportunity. This is before you got Charbonnet.
Hmm.
So I was like, Charbonnet or Allen? Charbonnet or Allen? I'm like, I don't like Seattle's line. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go with Allen.
Oh
And
damn.
boy, was I fucking wrong. Like
Hmm.
that's I was so mad at myself. Okay, moving on. Bucky Irving's dealing with a back, but he still might play
Hmm.
monitor. Okay, I already said that. So we got Isaiah Rendo who's dealing with a foot. Jonathan Brooks out. Don't even worry about it. J.K. Dobbins is on the IR with a knee. We got Austin Eckler who's dealing with a concussion. Raheem Mostart dealing with a hip. Alexander Madison dealing with the ankle, which
President.
we're probably going to talk about him.
We'll talk about him.
Zamar White.
Zamir, close. You had it. Son of a gun.
Shit. Zamir White. He's actually, I think they put him on the IR. I didn't mention that, but they did,
Hmm.
or the doc didn't mention him.
Hmm.
So I think he's on IR. Anyways, Roshan Johnson's dealing with a concussion. Marshawn Lloyd appendix. That
Packers guy.
sucks, buddy.
Yeah, fucking Packers. Yeah, that
Um,
sucks.
and Miles Sanders is dealing with the foot. That's a lot, bro.
It's
I
a
was
lot.
trying to go fast there.
You can safely put these guys in your IR spots if you can, and if you don't have an IR spot, I think almost all of them except for Bucky Irving and Garendo are drops.
In one of my leagues, somebody dropped J.K. Dobbins, and I scooped him just
Yeah,
in case.
hey, who knows? Who knows? But let me give you my drop candidates on that note that you just shared. My first drop candidate is I'm going to recommend is J.K. Dobbins. Now he's
What?
like 75 to 80% rostered.
Huh?
Uh, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. The next guy I'm going to recommend to drop is Gus Edwards, who's at 70% rostered. Amir Abdullah, the aging wonder. I'm going to recommend that you drop him. Recommend that
Mm-hmm.
you drop Jonathan Brooks because he's out with the ACL. You
Not
can
coming
you can
back.
drop Christian McCaffrey. It's cool to put him in your IR so people can see this is what you had and you're still out here doing it. But fuck that. We're not here to win the prettiest award. We're here to fucking win games. So you can cut
Mm.
Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh,
You can cut
dropping
Raheem
that
Mostert.
bomb.
You can cut
Passion.
Austin Eckler as well. Now, due to the injuries to Dobbins, Brooks, McCaffrey, and Eckler, they won't help you for the rest of the fantasy season. Okay, we got 3 weeks in most leagues. We got week 15, week 16, and
Pick
week
them.
17. Some crazy leagues have week 18. I'm not a fan, but whatever. We could do a show too about that, depending on the need. But you couldn't drop these guys. They're not going to be back in 3 weeks. So keep that in mind. Now, Abdullah only had 2 offensive touches in week 14 this past week against Tampa Bay, who's not a great defense. So with that said, I think you can cut him just his usage isn't there because there's another running back who we'll recommend here in a moment who does have that usage, who stole
Oh,
all
I
of
picked him
Abdullah's
up. It
thunder.
was awesome. Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
oh yeah. Next guy that you can cut is Alexander Madison, the president. Uh, well, you know what? You can probably keep Madison.
Yeah, I would be a little. I want to pull it.
Let's see
Yeah.
how it shakes
Well,
out. Yeah,
shit, man.
let's
There is no
let's see how it
way.
shakes out. Yeah, they have no ties to Madison, but they might have some tie to a young guy who's on the practice squad. We'll get to
And
that in a little bit.
they
Yeah,
go with a hot hand too. Go ahead.
true, true. You know what? We're teasing it. Do you want to just should we just talk to about him? You want to go ahead and take that
Sincere.
one? Yeah,
I love. Do you have him?
yeah.
Sincere McCormick. He's rostered 2%. Guys, now I grabbed him last
That's
week
me and
just
you. That's me and you.
yeah,
We're the
literally.
only ones.
Literally. I grabbed him because I'm in a 14-man league and that was the only guy I was like, huh, you know what? I'm gonna see what the
And
kid's got.
we recommended him last week. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, and McCormick actually led the Raiders in carries for the second straight week and finishing with 10.9 points on Sunday. The former practice squad member now has 27 and tote.
27
Wow.
touches.
This says TOTES.
Totes, yeah, totes by touches,
Totes.
basically.
Okay, cool. 142-yard span. He started getting the opportunity as a result of the injuries to. Okay, we already talked about. Who cares? But we can be sure that Antonio Pierce won't keep going to McCormick even when the team's other
Can we
backs
be
are.
sure?
Oh,
Yeah,
can we?
yeah, we
My
can.
bad.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Yes, we
Yeah, it's
can.
all right.
So yeah, I'm really excited. He was in my 14-man league. Remember, you recommended
Yeah.
Tracy, and
Yep.
then I found this kid. I was like, well, and another thing before you do your take, another thing as well too is that this doesn't happen, man. You don't
No.
like, especially this close to the playoffs. All of a sudden, there's just like this player that all of a
I mean,
sudden is like getting all the
Garendo
touches.
was one of them, but it's rare.
Yeah, but I mean that's just because next man up, right? And I'm
Yep.
not saying that's not his case either, but he's
True,
got.
true, true, true.
But this kid has the juice. It's
Yeah,
not
he
just
does.
he's been averaging. I think when they played against the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken, he was averaging like 5 yards per carry,
Yeah,
right? And then this,
5.3 last 2 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, that's huge. So to break
Yeah,
that
man.
down, phony homies, that's somebody I would grab right now,
Yeah.
especially if you can't get some of these other guys that we're talking about. If you missed out on the Isaiah Garendo lottery, which
Yeah.
I did, and Zach Charbonnet. So
Yep.
this would be someone I would definitely target moving forward. The Raiders, listen, they're not going to try to win games, so they might just run the ball because they're
They
right
might
now
just run the shit out of the ball.
they're just
Let's
going
be
to run the
real.
shit out of the ball.
They lost Aiden O'Connell. He's gone.
He's
So
whoa. Oh, Aiden O'Connell. Yes.
yeah. So
No,
like
he may play. Did you see this came out today?
no.
It's a bruise. It went from a sprain to like even though it was in an air cast. Now they're
Hold
saying
on.
it's a sprain, and now he's opportunity to play again. Now, while you're looking that up, we did get a question or a comment, really. Playoff RBs. You don't need to be the prettiest girl at the bar. You just got to be the only girl. Yes, Tim. Absolutely.
What's up,
Everyone
Dibs?
deserves love. That's why I'll say that.
He's not wrong.
Okay, did you figure it out? Did you find it?
Yeah, he's questionable, which is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. He's questionable.
Look,
When
don't think he
initial
plays.
reports came out, he was on the IR. He was done. It's done for the season.
All right,
And they're
McDonald's
like,
cheeseburger bet because we haven't made any bets all year. Want to do a McDonald's cheeseburger bet?
oh my god, I haven't had a McDonald's cheeseburger in so long.
Let's
Can we do
a
quarter
McDonald's
pounder?
cheeseburger bet.
Let's do a quarter.
Yeah, quarter pounder. Cool.
Let's
I've
get
never had a quarter
dangerous,
pounder
man.
in my life. Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
All right,
Double quarter pounder. So good,
I
bro.
say he doesn't play
I'll die.
the rest of the season, the rest of the fantasy season. So 3 weeks. How's that? So I'll give you odds basically.
Ah,
3 weeks. I say he doesn't play. I say Spencer Ritter.
I'm just saying.
Desmond Ritter.
I don't
plays
know.
3
I don't
weeks.
want to really take that bet because I think you're right. I'm just saying he's not out.
I don't know.
He's not on the
Shit.
IR.
He's not. The fact that he's not
questionable.
going to the IR means he might still play.
Yeah, but this could be
I mean,
like one of those.
quarter pounder bet.
I mean, there's only
No.
3 weeks left. All right, fine.
True.
Because I'll get
Alright,
it. I'll get a quarter pounder anyway. It's not like I'm going to buy you one and watch you eat it.
Facts.
So, all right.
Facts.
And we're getting double quarter pounders.
Okay, you're getting living too dangerously.
Bro,
That guy who
let me.
did
Well,
Supersize
just
Me
you
died.
so
So
good.
RIP.
He died because he was an alcoholic. It wasn't because
Oh.
he was. That's
Look
why.
at
If you,
Look how well researched you are.
bro, he died.
You're
That's why his
defending
liver.
McDonald's.
That's why the doctor's like, I've never seen this before. Your liver count was so out of this. He's like, oh, I wonder why. Because you're getting
Oh
sloshed
fuck.
every night,
Maybe I
bro.
should. put that down.
Now we're getting double quarter pounders, no onions. It's gonna be
That's
awesome. All
true.
right,
Fuck it,
moving
live
on.
dangerously. All right, next guy we're gonna go ahead and recommend is Zach Charbonnet, a guy that Dustin talked about a moment ago. Now he's rostered in a little over 50% of leagues, but
And
we
you
want to
got him
mention
too,
him.
you son of a bitch.
Hey, sometimes you find gems on that waiver wire because my team needs them
But
for sure.
you're not in the playoffs in our league, so
True, true, true.
kind of karma. Anyways,
Seattle unleashed the monster with Kenneth Walker inactive. It's a guy
release the
that
Kraken.
we've all known. Yeah, we've all known he has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of opportunity. He hasn't had it because Kenneth Walker's been so damn good. But we all also know that Kenneth Walker's a ticking time bomb. He's always dealing with some kind of injury because the guy just runs so hard. It's just bound to happen. So he scored a whopping 38 fantasy points this past week, making him the fantasy RB1 of the week heading into Monday Night Football this past week. So now Charbonnet most likely will return to the backseat when Walker returns, which could be this week. He doesn't want to get Wally pipped, Kenneth Walker. So, it's a good chance that Kenneth Walker forces his way back onto the field. Anyone rostering Walker should absolutely go grab Charbonnet and spend whatever percent of your budget you have left, because if for any reason Charbonnet continues to play, that's the RB1 the rest of the way.
Yeah, like I said, or like the doc said, is that honestly, I don't see Kenneth Walker playing this week because it's very sus, as the kids say, that he's getting tested this week.
Yep.
He didn't have to do shit last week. He didn't play. He could rehab, he could take it easy. And the fact that they're doing another test to look at his hamstring
Hmm.
causes me to like really, I don't think he plays this week.
Okay.
I don't. I
I
would
like
put
it.
a cheeseburger bet on that for sure.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. Just want to remind people the Seahawks play against the Packers, and their rush defense is in the bottom half of the league. So
Ooh, this is going to be a good matchup because Packers Seahawks, there's
I
always
feel like
like a
that's
little
always a
like,
good game. That's always a good game. Yeah.
yeah, there's always like some controversy
Bad
that goes on.
blood. Yeah. True. True. True.
All right, I'm going to take the next one. We got Allen, who's rostered at 32%, and Isaiah Davis. Now, if you were like me, you were like, all right, I've been waiting for Braylon Allen to take over. I'm so excited.
100%. Yeah.
And you would have been disappointed because
Hmm.
he was okay because Isaiah Davis actually looked like the actual better back there. Back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back there.
So with the splits, but um, I'm trying to see. Davis actually put up 67 yards in a TD on 13 touches, whereas Allen gained 81 yards on 15 touches. So Allen did out touch him, but if you think about it,
Sounded funny. Sorry.
grow up, bro. Grow up, bro. Okay, there's a gaping hole. Anyways, um, I don't know, man. This one I'm a little concerned about because I was like, man, everyone's been talking about Braylon Allen the whole year. They're just like roster him, get his handcuff because he's gonna be great. And if
Son of
Brees
a
goes
gun.
down, he's the guy. Blah blah blah. So I was like, hell, motherfucker, yeah, he's stupid. As soon as that went across that like uh Brees Hall was like doubtful, I was like, on the sleeper app, by the way. So if you're not
Yeah.
paying attention to sleeper or you haven't downloaded that, you better get that because it does give you an edge. I was like,
It
oh
does.
fuck yeah, I got him in every single fucking league. Started him, mother. Except for your family league, which like I get
Yeah.
every single waiver that the hottest
Hey, I
waiver.
don't. Well, I don't need to any of these guys. My team's loaded.
These people have given up. Oh, by the way, I played Lord Goose this week, so
Yeah. How'd you do?
no, I'm
Oh,
in
you
the
playing this week?
playoffs and I'm playing them this week. So
Oh yeah.
revenge game,
Hey,
revenge.
goose, goose. See what happens.
I don't know,
Let's
man,
see.
because this happened before. Somebody, when I first started playing, beat me all year, beat me twice. I was like, fuck.
Because the
And I had to play
goose.
him against a championship, and
Yeah.
Will Hightower got me the touchdown. So once again, phony homies,
It's him.
you
Yeah.
you can find that one diamond in the rough. But
That's
speaking of
true.
diamond in the rough, who do you got next?
Tank Bigsby DL rostered in less than 25% of leagues. Now, Bigsby was a guy that we used to recommend early on in the season, and here we are again. Travis Etienne started at running back for the Jaguars this past Sunday, but it was Bigsby who played 53% of the snaps, leading the team with 18 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. And Etienne did run the ball just 4 times for 20 yards. So, even though we don't think Bigsby has the highest ceiling, he's definitely going to have the opportunity, you know, 15 touches, somewhere in that range. win a chance to score every week. So you just want a guy who has the opportunity and the ability to score. So 15 touches as starting running back for a team without their starting quarterback. Give me that. Give me Tank Bigsby.
I like it. I had to drop him because I just wasn't didn't want to wait it out because I wasn't too sure. But anyways, speaking
Yep.
of which running back to pick, we're gonna head over to Denver with Jaleel McLaughlin.
In the arms of an angel. Sarah McLaughlin, Jaleel McLaughlin, long lost brother.
Did that just happen? Okay, he's rostered at 3%. Here's the thing, Pony Homies. Uh, Denver's backfield is so hard to predict. It really is, because one week it's McLaughlin, one week it's wow, I'm forgetting everyone's name. Javonte Williams, or is it Audric Estime? You don't know, right? However, trusting anyone in the Broncos backfield is like playing with fire. You got to give it to Sean Payton, though. He just pretty much keeps everything under wraps. But McLaughlin had 14 carries. No other Denver back has had more than four in this thrilling win over the Browns before the bye, breaking free 84 yards, six per carry.
Mm-hmm.
Javonte Williams and Audric Estime are very real threats um, to get hot and move into the driver's seat. But with the poorest Colts run defense next on the schedule, McLaughlin, who also has a pair of receiving TDs this season, is an RB to target from the crowd in Denver. Man, okay. So still I'm hesitant just because that's what they keep saying that about the Colts, right? And then everyone rushes out and gets them, like I did.
Yeah.
Or they started, I don't know, Swift against them because we're like, oh, we're gonna run the shit out the ball and blah blah blah. No, didn't happen. So I would be, I mean, if he's there and you're in 14 like deeper leagues, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe grab him, roll the
Yeah.
dice,
Yeah.
win or go home, sure. But I'm not that confident like putting him in this week and be like, yeah, he's got it.
McLaughlin or Sincere?
Sincere.
Sincere or Bigsby? Can you believe this is where we're at? We're here.
Wait, who are the Jags playing again?
The Jaguars. Good question. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Jaguars play against the Jets.
Sincere. Sincere.
Yeah, I know. Imagine. I'm with you on
Bro,
both.
sincere. Yeah. I mean, he's got juice.
Isaiah Davis.
Okay.
Isaiah Davis, Braylon Allen, or Sincere?
Sincere. So what I saw from Braylon Allen, like totally just dropped the stock for me.
I
Like
can't
I was
believe I'm
just like
here.
so disappointed. I was
I'm
like,
with you.
really?
I'm with
And
you.
Isaac Davis, who wasn't on anyone's radar, is like getting the TD and he's like smiling. And I was like, man, I wish I could. But the cool thing about that kid is like he literally got the touchdown and then he huddled up to do the kickoff.
True.
So that was pretty dope.
That was pretty cool. Dale, if you could take the next one, which is an interesting one.
Okay, so we already talked about Sincere McCormick. So we're going to talk about Patrick Taylor,
That's right.
0.3%. I see what you're doing here.
There's a
Is he
reason.
the next man up? Who knows? Because
Yes.
Isaac Guerrero was a player to pick up on the waivers last week after Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason landed on the IR. Guerrero roster percentage jumped from 0.6 to 72 before he sliced through the Bears defense on Sunday. Really? That to me, I was like, yeah, let's see what he can do. And I was like, hell, motherfucker, yeah. Because he gained 128 yards from the scrimmage and scored 2 TDs. Unfortunately, he left the game with a foot injury in the fourth quarter. Kyle Shanahan told reporters after the game that the RB would undergo more tests on Monday, so the severity is not 100% clear as of this writing. The 49ers have a short week. The Rams are visiting Thursday night, which doesn't leave the rookie much time to recover. Taylor, called up from the practice squad last week, had 7 carries and 25 yards and a late TD. So keep an eye on Guerrero's status. If he plays, Guerrero is the only San Francisco back to start Fantasy League, but it could be Taylor's turn to watch his roster rate skyrocket this week. I 100% agree with this. This would be
Yes.
like maybe like I might do it because I'm on a buy and like fuck it, like all right,
Let's see how it shakes out. That's true.
see
We
how it
haven't talked
shakes out.
about that. For those people who are on buys, go ahead and take some gambles. Cut your worst, guy, maybe your
Yeah,
backup quarterback because there's no more buys.
I
You
cut
know,
Hunt,
hey,
and I'm like hell yeah.
hey, that's what you got to do. And then throw a dart or two at a lottery ticket. A guy who has a chance to start like Patrick Taylor. Like Sincere McCormick. See how it shakes out.
I would take Sincere. I think that's our biggest takeaway. I would
Hmm.
grab that kid because I don't think he has much competition. Um, I
Patrick's
think
a decent name. It's an
Patrick
interesting
is
name.
good, but here's the thing. Like, okay, cool. If Garino doesn't start this week, right, and you're on a bye, right?
Hmm.
What's again? What about next week? Garino is obviously the guy. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would say Patrick would be definitely a sneaky starter. Grab him. Who cares? Drop him if Garino comes out of practice and they're like, oh, he's good to go. So no harm, no foul.
Okay. Okay.
But yes,
All right,
I'll spend
Dale.
a lot of
Let's jump
fab.
over. Yeah, let's jump over to wide receivers. We've got a lot of show left and a lot of information to share. Injuries at wide receivers. Let's remind you: George Pickens has a hamstring issue. Lad McConkey a knee. Josh Downs a shoulder. Chris Olave still out with that concussion. Cedric Tillman also concussed. Romeo Dubes concussed. Keon Coleman has a wrist, and Rashad Bateman has the knee. Oh,
He did
also
practice though.
he did, yeah, yeah. Also, Demarcus Robinson has a shoulder, a guy that we've recommended a few times here. Drop candidates with that information that I shared. Let me give you some guys who I think people will
Why
agree.
would you still? I'm sorry, I just read the list. If you still have these guys and you're in the playoffs, congratulations.
Hey
If you
man,
still
some
have,
teams are deep, man. Some
I
rosters are
mean,
deep.
yeah, go for it.
Tyler
Right?
Lockett is still 56% rostered. Marquez
Really?
Valdez Scantling, 55% rostered. Wandale Robinson, 43% rostered. Demarcus Robinson, 40% rostered. And we took these from, you know, I think CBS this week or maybe Yahoo.
Bro, Wandale Robinson?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Wow. I mean, he's
Neighbors has been on.
rostered,
He's
or is
been
he on the?
hurt and playing, hurt and
Dude, Neighbors
playing.
is that's another one. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
So Lockett has 4 targets or less in his last 6 games. I'm sorry. Lockett has 4 targets or less in 6 games in a row. And in his past 4 games, he combined for 7 catches for 55 yards and no touchdowns total in 4 games.
Mm,
In Week 14 at Arizona, Lockett had 1 target and no catches. It's time to let go of Lockett.
yeah, it's sad.
Now, in
I think
regards to
he's
Valdez
done.
Scantling, Derek Carr out with that hand issue potentially, right? I think that's what we. You think he's going to play?
No,
Yeah. So
because
with
it's
Derek,
not just the hand; it's also the
mhm,
concussion.
yeah,
So and even if it was just the hand, it's yeah, it's like I said, not or the doc said, not his throwing hand, but he still
mhm,
got to like catch the ball when it gets hiked to him. Yeah,
that's.
I don't see him playing. I just don't.
With that said, Valdez Scantling can't be trusted.
Out,
Who the
son.
hell throwing him? Who the hell throwing him the ball? Next guy,
Oh,
Wandale
what? Wait,
Robinson.
Rattler.
Yeah.
Rattler's coming.
Uh-huh.
And when he came in, you saw how horrible the Saints were.
Bad. Bad.
Like I was excited because I
Wandale.
was like, Alvin Kamara may do well. Nope, they all suck. Okay, go ahead.
Wandale Robinson has scored 10.1 PPR points or less in 7 games in a row and hasn't scored a touchdown since week
Who
5.
cares?
I mean, Demarcus Robinson finally is dealing with the shoulder injury and could miss Thursday's game on a short week. So,
Wait, what was his? How many people had him rostered? 38%. Wow,
mhm.
that's crazy. Must
Yeah,
be because he's running it back.
yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Anywho,
DL, go ahead and take away the first recommended wide
yes,
receiver.
old man Adam Thielen. Oh,
That's right.
what? We're still here? Yes, you are, Thielen. And you're rostered at 36%. Thielen is making up for lost time following his 7 game absence due to a little hammy. He appears to be in the space for the third. He appears in this space for the third week straight after posing 19 plus fantasy points. True story. He was on my bench. I was real pissed because I didn't start him. Anyway, so he's been targeted 25 times with 20 catches for 258 yards in the last 3 games since returning. That's a per game average of 8.3 targets, 6 catches, and 86 yards. It's pretty pretty good.
Pretty
Maintaining
good.
that pace will be difficult, even in an improved Panthers offense, but he'll have a favorable matchup for the rest of the way. This is why I'm excited about him. He's definitely going into my flex, and I'm gonna set and forget it because he's going up against the
Hell yeah.
Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the Bucks on the schedule for the next 3 weeks, dude. There, if you watch, if you watch, oh, now I'm forgetting, not Brees, the quarterback for Carolina. I'm
Oh,
blanking.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, right? They have a rhythm. Him and Adam
Yeah,
Thielen, if you
they
watch
do.
them, it's like boom, boom, boom.
Look at
Xavier, on the other hand, like yeah, thank you. You can't trust him, dude. Like he's still a rookie and he's still kind of figuring out. But
mhm.
Adam Thielen saved his ass a couple
Bryce's
times.
ass. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I can't
Gotcha.
think of his name. Anyways, so yeah, especially with those fourth downs, like give me Thielen all freaking day. I'm excited. I'm thinking of I may even bench Marvin Harrison Jr., dude. Because I don't know,
Wow.
man. I'm
Big
really
nuts. That's me carrying my nuts. Big nuts right there if you do that.
I don't know. I probably won't because I'm like fuck it, ride or
Oh.
die. I benched him one time this whole year, and that was the time he got a touchdown. Anyways,
Okay,
okay.
okay. All right,
So
next
I
guy's gonna
diverse.
recommend. Yeah, Quentin Johnston, probably the worst hands I've ever seen
No,
on a wide
why?
receiver.
Hell no.
20% rostered.
Don't
And
like this
Josh
one.
Palmer, less than 10% rostered. With Lad McConkey out on Sunday night, both Johnston and Palmer delivered 13 plus fantasy points against the Chiefs. Joshua led the team with 9 targets, 6 catches for 78 yards, while Johnson wasn't far behind with 7 targets, 5 of them for catches for 48 yards and a touchdown. It was a great sign to see from Quinn, who had hit a very rough patch in recent weeks. It's great news. The reason why it was a rough patch is because the guy has horrible hands. Swear to God, he's wearing like oven mitts while he's out there catching the ball. Now this week they have a favorable matchup against the Buccaneers. Keep an eye out on McConkey's status because if for any reason McConkey were to miss, we like both Johnston and Palmer to be flex options. Deal?
All right. So we got a question coming in. Do we go with Marvin Harrison Jr. versus New England or T. Higgins versus
I'm
Tennessee?
gonna be honest. T. Higgins didn't do shit last night.
Yeah, but did you hear what Jamar Chase said?
What?
They're like, you got to figure out a way to
To
keep
get him
T.
involved?
No,
Oh, to
to
keep him?
keep him, and that's awesome. Ah, wow. Yeah, you are right. T. Higgins didn't do shit. Did not do a
Ugh.
damn
Honestly,
thing.
I don't like either, and it's crazy because they're huge name guys. Let me throw you a crazy one.
I don't know.
Adam Thielen, Marvin Harrison, or T Higgins.
I would go Marvin Harrison. I think he's going to have a bounce back because this is what
Yeah,
I see. They're playing at home. They do better at home, right? And all of a sudden, like that game where they're like, we're going to give Marvin Harrison the ball more. He got like a touchdown. Um, so I could see him working. I like Marvin Harrison a little bit better.
mm-hmm. Give me
Tennessee.
T. Give me T.
Okay, cool. 6-pack bet.
Damn, where's this Ben? Okay,
Might as
you
well.
want
We haven't bet
Marvin?
it all year. Let's make it
Let
happen.
me
So we're
let
up
me
to
write
a
this shit
double
down. All right.
quarter pounder. No onions.
And what do we bet for that? That the quarterback of the Raiders doesn't play. Aiden O'Connell doesn't play the
Antonio.
rest of the
Yeah.
year. Aiden
Wait,
O'Connell
doesn't play for the rest of the year?
doesn't play the rest of the fantasy season. So 3 more weeks.
Okay, I'll take that bet.
For 3 more weeks. Jay says no. And then what's the other one? T versus Marvin Harrison.
Yep. That's a good one.
T Higgins
Although
versus
T's got a
Marvin.
little bit more. He's longer in the tooth, so
Week
a little bit more polished.
15.
Okay, cool.
Jay
We got
and Dustin.
another question from Kyle Kitzman.
Yeah, what's up, Kyle?
Kyle asked, would you bench Brees Hall week 16 if he's on a snap count this week? Worried about the Jets putting him on the shelf.
Yeah,
That's
they might
real good. They will.
protect their investment.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can grab, I mean, we mentioned some really good running backs. Now, Sincere versus, like, I don't know, Hall really, I would call him Brees Hell because he had like
Yeah, I'm
some
not touching him in a draft next year for sure.
yeah, like
I did not
he
like what I
started
seen.
off and then he's been a nightmare for the rest of the
He
season
has
now.
been night and day from what he was a year ago.
Yeah,
Honestly,
bro.
night and day. I don't know what happened, man. Maybe he was
There
dealing
were
with
some
something the whole year.
people who were calling him the next McCaffrey. They're like, "Oh yeah, forget McCaffrey, get Brees Hall," which a lot of people did.
I
And
remember.
now they're sitting watching everyone else in the playoffs because he was
Crazy.
garbage.
All right,
So,
last receiver. We're gonna go ahead and recommend DL Ray
do we answer his
McLeod.
question?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're worried about it.
Would you
You could bench
bench
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall week 16 if
Yep,
he's on snap count? Yes.
yep,
Okay, cool.
100%,
Go ahead.
100%. Ray McLeod rostered in less than 5% of leagues. There might not be a crazy high ceiling here for McLeod, but he has put up 10 fantasy points per game in each of his last 3 games, and 4 of his last 5, he's averaging almost 12 points per game in that span. And he only has 1 touchdown. So the volume has been there. Now, I know we're not recommending Kirk Cousins, but he still throws the ball a ton. So, with that said, he led the Falcons with 11 targets and 8 catches this past week against the Vikings. If you're seeing this type of volume, it deserves your attention. Although he might be a wide receiver 3, the guy has some flex appeal if you need a guy to just give you 10 points to be safe. Ray McLeod is out there. He's got the Raiders, the Giants, and the Commanders in the last 3 weeks of the season. So, of the fantasy season. So, the Raiders coming up, then the Giants, and then the Commanders. Keep an eye out for Ray McLeod. Deal.
Yes.
Tight ends, deal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was paying attention. No, I was actually commenting because I was reading our chat. Okay, we're gonna go with the tight and true Zach Ertz. He's rostered at 48%, so it's maybe a little bit hard to find. But this guy, like, literally is Mr. Garbage Time. So he's probably not gonna get involved like super heavily in the beginning, but he is gonna at least get you 10 points. He's been averaging actually about 15 points per game in fantasy in his 3 games prior to Washington's Week 14 bye, which is outstanding production for a fantasy tight end. If you don't have one of the few elite tight ends, Ertz is a potential starter for you against the Saints this week. So, moving on, we
I
got
like it.
Hunter Henry. What do you think about
Hunter
him?
Henry, rostered in 34% of fantasy leagues. Aside from a bad week, Henry has been pretty much a lock for double-digit fantasy points since Drake May moved to the starting lineup for the Patriots. He is the 6th most targeted tight end since week 11, and he didn't even play in week 14. Keep that in mind. Uh, Henry averaged 8.7 targets per game in his last 3 contests, which means he's worthy of a look. If he's available, go get him, unless you have stud at the position.
Question.
Yeah, answer.
Any of these like tight ends that we're about to mention? Well, hold
Yep.
on. Let me go through this one and then I'll ask my question.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
The last tight end that we're going to recommend for waivers this week is Jawan Johnson. He's rostered at 2% with Taysom Hill out for the season. The path was clear for Johnson to take off, and he didn't disappoint. He enters Monday Night Football as a fantasy tight end number 3 for
Mm,
week 14 after making 4 catches for a season high 50 yards and a tutty. Woo,
mm.
against the Giants. Good for 15 fantasy points. He's going to be touchdown dependent, which never scoring more than 8 points in a game where he didn't have scored the season. And the Saints might have to turn to Jake Henry or Spencer Radler
Hayner, yeah.
at quarterback with Derek Carr exiting game due to injury. So that sucks. It's not an ideal situation for Johnson, but there might not be a better option available for you on this waiver wire. Plus, you never know. Like, so, man, I'm not a fan of Spencer Radler, but sometimes, these quarterbacks do rely on the tight ends. Now, my question to you is, and I probably already answered it, but Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has not been doing good at all. And he's
Yeah.
still up there in the ranks. He's like, what, like top 10, top 5, right in there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any of these guys would you start? Oh, probably not. But any of these waivers, would you consider like, I'm going to
Henry.
go ahead, Hunter Henry? So you would
Mm-hmm.
bench Kelsey for Henry.
Mm-hmm. The
Okay,
only one.
cool. The only one. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to throw that out there because, like, you can't keep rolling them out at this point. If you made the fantasy playoffs, and you're still rolling Kelsey out, man, you're gonna lose. You're gonna be one and done, and then you're gonna be looking on the outside in the toilet bowl.
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know how I feel about Jawan Johnson. I'm just saying because I don't trust Hayner or Rattler,
Right.
honestly.
Ooh, no, hell no. Hell
And
to
I
the
don't
no.
think they let either of those guys throw more than 15 to 19 times, somewhere in that range, less than 20, maybe,
I think they're gonna run the
unless they're
shit
having
out
a
the
good
ball
game.
because they
Yeah.
had who
Yeah.
was it? Kendrick Williams.
Hmm. Who?
He's a running back for the
Kendra
Saints.
Miller. Kendra
Kendra
Miller.
Miller.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Kendra Miller, who was in the doghouse with the previous shitbag coach, and they brought him out, and he got a touchdown. So I'm not saying he's gonna like you should go out and grab him or waivers, but I'm just saying I could see them just like let's run the ball and then we're gonna
You're right.
short it like a
He did have
little
10
like
touches. That's a nice name to throw out there.
thank you. I've been paying
A
attention,
nice
bro.
name. Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't recommend grabbing him off waivers unless it's like you're in a super,
Deep.
super deep league and like you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm hoping and praying. Um, but yeah, I just see them running the shit out the ball, and
Hmm.
when they have to throw, they're gonna throw. But I wouldn't trust any of these quarterbacks.
No, agreed.
Any of them.
Agreed. Let's jump over to defenses. I'm going to
Sure.
go ahead and recommend the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh, tell me
Bengals.
why? Because
They
they
are
were
rostered in
garbage,
40% of leagues. Now, it's been a rough year. You're right. It's been bad.
real bad.
But the defense has, you know, gotten a little better, a little better. Now, it's Week 15's matchup is hard to ignore. They play against the shit Titans. That's the only reason.
Okay,
Then,
fair.
uh, uh, what else I got in my notes here? The Jaguars' trash defense scored 9 points against the Titans' defense. So basically, they had 9 points last week. So I'm just sitting here on a hope, on a whim here that the Bengals could do something.
It's not bad because we know their quarterback is just reckless with the ball, right? Like
Super.
he hasn't really done anything spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Ridley, I started last week because I was like, hell yeah, like let's go Ridley because you got a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
He sucked at. Like, he can't get the ball. Can't get the ball to the wide receivers. And yeah, so
Facts.
like it.
Facts.
Moving on. Baltimore Ravens. Wow, they're only rostered at 36%. Makes sense because they were on a bye, right? So
Yep.
we've seen some downright dreadful games from the Ravens defense all too often in 2024. But if ever there was a week to start, that this would probably be it because the matchup draws the Giants, and they're hot trash too. One of the most generous teams to fantasy defenses this season. Hopefully, the bye week gave the first DC Zach Orr some time to reset and prepare for an offense that just doesn't have much juice, which sucks. I traded for
Blows.
Neighbors. So excited. I got Neighbors, Nico Collins, fucking Jamar Chase. Fucking Jamar Chase on a team. All three of them in my 14-man deep league. I'm like, I'm gonna kick your mother. No, sucked. All right, let's close
Yeah,
it
I'll let you
out.
take the next one. Yeah, I'll let you take the next one.
Go ahead.
You don't want
Oh,
it?
you
All
want
right.
me to do it?
Yeah, I'll do the last one.
Okay, fuck it. New York Jets are rostered at 21%. The Jets suck. I mean, the Jets stuck to their theme of 2024 and disappointed in week 14. But we have seen more occasional spikes from this defense with 14-point outbursts in the last 5 games. Week 15 brings in an inviting opportunity to make it 3 out of 6 with the Jags next on the schedule. Jacksonville has averaged a merely 10.8 real life points in its last 4 games, so New York has stream potential against Mac Jones and company. And
Great.
that would be your defenses.
Great, great.
I
I
don't
do want
hate
to
it.
recommend the,
Oh,
yeah, I want
wait,
to
it's
recommend
not.
Atlanta. Yeah, I got
All right.
Atlanta. They are less than 10% rostered.
Hmm.
Look, we're here. We're at the final stretch, and we wanted to round
Matchup,
out,
baby.
these defenses that we're recommending. The Falcons face the lowly Raiders, who are playing with who knows what at quarterback, and then they play the Giants the following week after that. Those are two
Not
of the
bad.
best matchups for the Falcons defense. The only downside is who knows what the hell Kirk Cousins is going to do. So it could be a long day. But if Kirk Cousins has some semblance of a decent game, there's a good chance that the Falcons defense, you know, has good games too. All you really need is 7 plus points, some 7 to 10 plus points from a defense, and I think the Falcons
Not
will be there for
negative. Oh,
you. Yeah,
P to the S. Here's a little tip too. If you are winning and you're going into the last game, may not be a bad idea to bench your defense because you do not want to
true.
lose points. So just like a little tip. Um, actually, I was
Benching a
playing.
kicker or just another position that could potentially lose you points. Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing in the Super Bowl, and the kid that I was going against, Rudd, he just pulled his defense, and I was hoping and praying that he didn't because I was hoping they would suck, and he just made sure that they didn't suck because I know other players. So that's the way you want to look at it. Like you want to look at your opponent. If you're winning, and they have nobody left to go, not a bad idea to bench your D. Just saying. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you got to bench that D. DL, is
And bench
Justin
it
Herbert
good.
going to be? You going to be out this week? What's your take?
Justin Herbert, I think he'll play. He mentioned I really didn't grab him because he's questionable, but he mentioned the leg contusion really wasn't a factor.
To
So
the
I think
knee,
he
right?
plays.
Okay.
Yeah, it said
Okay.
leg contusion. So
Gotcha. Because if he doesn't play, you know who the backup is?
who?
Taylor
Heineke?
fucking Heineke,
Yes,
baby.
let's go,
That would be
Heineke.
sick.
Fuck
Not
yeah,
we're not
dude.
rooting for an injury,
No.
but Taylor Heineke can see the field.
I
Number
have
one
your
fan
jersey
club.
still at work. It's in
Oh
the
fuck.
drawer that you
That thing is
left.
huge. You could fit like my whole family under that jersey.
I bought that for you, and you
Yeah.
just left it. Left it like trash.
Well,
Just
swear it. If he
just
plays,
I,
I
I
want a
already have
picture.
one. I
Wear
have
it
one that
and
fits
put it.
nice. Actually, I might
Okay.
wear it.
Well.
Might
Okay.
change it
There you
up.
go.
Maybe next
Well,
show.
funny homies, that's it for today's show. Remember to shoot your start state questions throughout the week to us on X, Twitter, Gmail, whatever you want. DL, if they want to send it to us on X, where can they send it?
Awesome. You can send it to tweetffg or you can utilize the hashtag AskUsFFG. Be sure to use that hashtag because we do check it all
Yep.
Sunday morning.
Yep.
I feel like this week we might go viral because we had some really
Hey,
good questions. So
yeah, we did have great questions. DL, what's the email people want to send emails over, and we will broadcast them live on air.
AskUsFFG@gmail.com.
And lastly, the digits to call directly, the phone right here.
Yeah, especially maybe you can ask JC for a quarter pounder yourself, or
Maybe
maybe
you
you can
can,
come
yeah.
hang out with us. We'll all go over together, but you can call him at 708-655-4508.
That's it for today's show, Phony Homies, for DL and his great advice. I'm JC. We'll catch you on another great episode of the Faithful Guy Show. Like, share, subscribe, and
Smash!
the notification button. Peace.
Good luck.